Okay, so here we are for our third match, kind of our bonus match. Unfortunately, I cannot keep this hand because it has no land, so we're going to take a mulligan. This hand is unfortunate, but I don't think it's a mulligan. I mean, we have three redraws with Nylea's Presence. We have all the colors. We'll keep this Silhana Ledgewalker. I think Silhana Ledgewalker is perfectly fine. So it looks like we're up against a blue-black deck of some sort, whether it's Teachings or it's blue-black Flicker. So we will find out shortly. I'm probably going to get a Mountain. Oh, it looks like we're up against Tron. Oh, okay. I'm going to get a Mountain here. I think Mountain is... Whoa, that was weird. Probably going to be better. No, I got a Plains. I have more white spells. I will get a Plains. So my opponent's probably going to think that I am on Boggle. So here's something interesting that I can do next turn. I can put the Nylea's Presence on the Evolving Wilds, and then use the Evolving Wilds to cast the Ethereal Armor and make this guy a 3/3, which is probably what I'm going to do. My opponent is evoking Moldrifter. Ooh, that's interesting. Oh, well, never mind. I don't have to do that. Put Nylea's Presence on this Plains, and do this, and get him for 3. So, one thing in this deck is you mostly want to put Nylea's Presence on the lands that don't really have much going on in the deck. So, like, putting Nylea's Presences on the mountains you would actually think would be a good idea. But the problem with that is you want to be able to bolt twice in a turn. So you kind of want to put Nylea's Presences on either your plains most of the time or on the forest, because those are the ones that do the most work. So, Compulsive Research discards that. Okay. So, Wild and the Cottle. So, I could play Wild and the Cottle, or I could play two Nylea's Presences. Let's go ahead and do Nylea's Presence, but leaving the green up, because the green is going to actually cast me more spells. Armadillo Cloak. Okay. Well, I'm going to attack first, and then I will play my land, and then I will... next turn I'll try to resolve one of these two. Alright, we're just going to go fetch now, just because there's really no point. So we'll get a Mountain to show my opponent that I am actually a Zoo deck. And my opponent hit Tron, which could be good, could be bad for me. I mean, it's never good. Never a good thing. So Capsize won't really do all that much. The good thing about Marasatron, or I guess Grixis-tron, if that's what this is they don't play a lot of counterspells. They might play a lot of removal. The fact that my opponent didn't have an end-of-turn Lightning Bolt is good for me. They could have a Flame Slash here. And if they are on no counters and just the Capsize plan, I mean, sure, they could keep capsizing, but eventually they won't be able to capsize multiple times in a turn for right now. And I also have Edict Protection, because I have a Wild and the Coddle out. And Ulamog's Crusher. Okay. Kind of sucks. Ooh, another Ethereal Armor. Sweet. Sweet Daddy Deeb. Alright. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh, do I win the game this turn? I might just actually win the game this turn. No, I think I put my opponent to 1. Yeah, I do. I put my opponent to 1. Alright. Let's go ahead and attack. Damn you, Ulamog's Crusher. So I get to put my opponent to 1 miserable life with a hexproof creature that they cannot kill with removal, and also cannot block without a flyer, but my guy has trample now, so they would need multiple ways to deal with it. When my opponent goes to attack with Crusher, I will be very honest. Since this is one of the only spells in my deck that costs 3, I will probably just sack these 2 lands. Now, the reason why I'm sacking these 2 lands is not only does it give me 2 threats, so my opponent has to have a removal spell and other ways to deal with these cards, but the fact of the matter is, now Diabolic Edict will not do anything unless they have 2 answers, and my guy will still be a 3/3, and I'll still have enough mana to cast my Lightning Bolts. So, that is the thing. Remember, Nylea's Presence turns whatever land you put it on into all 5 basic land types. So this is, in addition to being a plains, it is also a swamp, an island, a forest, and a mountain, which makes it so that the wall in the coddle is a 3/3. And it looks like my opponent maybe did not draw enough stuff. Maybe they were on all lands, I'm not sure, and I won the game, which is sweet. So, I don't really know exactly how to sideboard in this match correctly, because I faced... The problem is I have faced Tron many times, and I've beaten Tron more than I've lost to it, but the fact of the matter is, you never quite know what version of Tron you're up against. You don't know if you're up against more counter spells. You don't know if you're up against more removal spells. You don't know if you're even up against a Tron deck with Serene Heart in the sideboard, or maybe they don't have Ray of Revelation, anything like that. So I don't know if I kind of want to bring in Hydroblast, or if I want to bring in Pyroblast, but I think I want to bring in Pyroblast. I think that's probably going to bring me more revenue, if that's the correct word. So I'm going to bring in the 3 Pyroblasts. And I think I can take out an Armadillo Cloak. I don't think Armadillo Cloak is going to be that great. I could probably take out both, in all honesty, since they're not going to be really all that good. And then I could probably shave something. I could shave a Wall in the Collar. I could shave a Core Skyfisher. I know this is going to sound strange, but I'm going to shave Core Skyfisher. The reason being is that if this guy becomes bigger than a 4/4, which is not that hard in this deck, Flame Slash will not kill it. This guy gets me Rancor and Ethereal Armor, so that's kind of needed. Or this woman. And I think that Core Skyfisher is not going to be as good as Wall in the Collar, especially if I'm working with only a little amount of land. So that's what I'm going to keep it as. Now, I did get extremely lucky in the first game. Maybe my opponent just did not have anything. Maybe... I really don't know, I can tell you. Sorry, we're going to keep this hand. This hand is great if I'm able to slap an Ethereal Armor and a Rancor turn 2 on him. It's going to be good. So, let's see. I don't really want my opponent to just go randomly Mountain untapped and Electrickery me, but there's a good chance my opponent does not have a counterspell. So we're going to go Rancor here and see what my opponent has to say about it. Alright, we'll go Ethereal Armor as well. My opponent did actually have Negate. Okay. So now, the thing there is which one is more important. I think that Ethereal Armor might have been more important, but I was hoping that my opponent would counter the Rancor, and they did not. So that is just unfortunate. I'm going to go Rancor here as well. Start getting in for 5. I don't really want to play the Sahana Ledgewalker. I think it's more likely my opponent will have Electrickery than a... than, say... a Edict effect. So that's kind of why I wanted to do it. The good thing about this is that they have Serene Heart. These come back to my hand. Unfortunately, my opponent had natural turn 4 Tron, which does kind of suck a bit. If I was on the play, I would already have Ethereal Armor on this and everything, and I probably would run away with the game. Assuming my opponent does not have, like, Serene Heart or something, but... Discards an Urza's Mine. Okay. So they have access to any color. They can overload an Electrickery. They could do Serene Heart so that these bounce back to my hand. Could play another Compulsive Research. They're evoking a Mole Drifter. So my opponent is telling me they don't really have much in their hand. Interesting. Let me go ahead and attack for 5 again. We'll play one Sahana Ledgewalker just to get it out there. Get a bit more damage on the board. I wish that there was a Sahana Ledgewalker at 1 mana, but I know I'm really reaching as far as that goes. Opponent just says go. Interesting. Alright, well I'm going to put this on the plains, see what my opponent decides to do about it. They did nothing and I drew another land. Alright. Go ahead and attack, I suppose. Alright. My opponent's at 1 point of life. Well, I'm going to play the mountain and pass. I don't really have a reason to add anything more to the board. I mean, he'll probably just Electrickery now or Mystical Teachings for it. Pulse Maressa. Okay, so it goes back to 7. and teachings. Okay. There's the Electrickery. So now, I mean, you know, this could happen with any type of Boggle deck. What kind of sucks is that I don't have a Wild Nicottle or a Core Skyfisher or an Orin Arlid, so I'm cold to I'm kind of cold to Electrickery at this moment in time, which kind of sucks. And I think Hydroblast might be better to bring in just because Hydroblast deals with removal. My opponent's doing that now? Why do it now? Oh, and then they're playing a Crusher, I see. Okay. But why do that now? That is very strange. Well, here I think I just play Ledgewalker. Play Nylea's Presence on the Plains. And play Rankers. So that's all I can really do. At this point, the game is pretty much over, I think. I'm gonna be taking 8 every turn, and my opponent has pretty much infinite mana to counter or deal with however they so choose. But I think I'll give it one more draw. Kind of sucks. I drew a lot of lands in a 20 land deck. I drew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm only on 5. I'm only on really 5 spells. All right, that's gonna be the game. That is pretty much the game. So instead of Pyroblast, I think I'll bring in the Hydroblast, and I don't really think I need to do anything with it. The Reaping the Graves is more for, well, I'll be honest, I don't really know. I have never really found a reason to bring in Reaping the Graves. I suppose Reaping the Graves is more for, like, creature-heavy matchups where you know the game is going to go long. You know that maybe your creatures are just going to stay untapped and they're not going to do much. And then you think to yourself, well, what is Reaping the Graves really for if it's not for this type of matchup? I'll be honest, I don't really know. I have not really found it. It's the one card in the sideboard I have not found a reason to have. So take that for what you will. I'm just going to resubmit. I still don't think that Armadillo Cloak is going to be very good. I think that this hand is quite saucy, though. If my opponent ever goes to 3 or is trying to rely on a Seagate Oracle, it's not going to get them very far. I have a Solana Ledgewalker to go with the Ranker, and I also have all 3 of my colors on turn 3, and I can even still curve out because I can go turn 1 to Coddle, turn 2 attack for 2, play a Ledgewalker, and then I can go get a Mountain. So that is going to be interesting. Alright, so put it belong into 6, and we're going to start off with good old turn 1 Wild Kitty. I don't know about you, but I'd be really scared if this was, like, my pet. And I love animals, but I'd be really, really scared if this was my pet. Alright, so there is Hydroblast, so if we ever get that going, it'll be good. So I'm going to go ahead and attack for 2, and then pass the turn. Ooh, on an Unhinged Island. Well, aren't you something special? Unfortunately, Orin Arlid is just a 2-2 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and sack this for a Mountain to see what my opponent does. And I think I'll wait on the Ranker. Just because if my opponent has a counter spell, they get to counter it. And if my opponent has a removal spell, if I try to put on the Wild Nicottle, they'll just kill it in response. So I think that's a safe bet. Well, there's Ethereal Armor. Alright, well, I guess now we can try to put Ranker on it. I'm trying to put Ranker on the Wild Nicottle so that Electrickery isn't what my opponent tries to blow me out with. Alright, so now we'll put Ethereal Armor on this guy, and we'll get in for 5. The reason why is now Electrickery is not going to kill it. And my opponent will fall to 9. See what they do. Nothing at this moment in time. I'm going to turn off auto yields, I guess. Alright, I'm not going to bolt my opponent. I don't want them to know that I have it. So, as always, attack first. Get the business done with. And then I think here, just play a Wall in the Cuddle, I guess. No, I'll play Ordinarlid. I think if Ordinarlid can resolve, I think it's just better. Another counterspell. Okay, so we're up against like the Grixis Tron type of deck. I still kind of think Hydroblast is good. So hopefully they just tap out for Mole Drifter thinking they can block. Or hopefully they like tap out for Crusher and they don't have like a removal spell or something. Alright, so there's a Mole Drifter. That can block the Solhana Ledgewalker. But it will die to the first strike. So I guess if this was Pyroblasted, it'd actually be better now. I thought that my opponent was on the heavier removal plan. And you see, that is the problem with Tron, is you can get... It's very hard to determine what type of Tron deck you are up against. Granted, the Hydroblast could still be good at some point. You know, it's just... It's a little hard to deal with. So I'll go ahead and attack with both. And see what my opponent does. Blocks and goes to 2. I like it. So now they're dead to Lightning Bolt. Play Wall in the Cuddle. And I'm just going to pass the turn. My opponent could have Negate in their hand, and I have 3 lethal creatures, so they will have to deal with that at some point. And I guess we'll see if they do. Yeah, it kind of sucks. Okay, I'll admit, I'm a little upset that this is not a Pyroblast. Because if it was, I'd probably be in a much better position. Let them compulsive research. There's no point in lightning bolting them in response. Because, like I said, I have 3 lethal creatures and there's no Wrath of God type spell that could kill all these 3 in one shot. There's no Radiant Flames. I guess Swirling Sandstorm is it, if you want to look that card up, but they don't have Threshold, so it doesn't actually do anything. Invoking Mole Drifter. Alright, well, I'm going to bolt them in response. And I'm pretty sure I just won the game. Bolt you? Mr. 8686. I think I've seen that person's name quite a few times around. So, you've pretty much seen what this deck can do. I went 3-0 in my matches. I beat Blue-Red Delver, which is, in my opinion, one of the best decks right now. It beat Tron, which is, again, one of the best decks right now, in my opinion. Maybe I was good against that person's particular build, though, so that is something to consider. And then I beat Turbo Fog. I did that. Anyway, so, what can I say about this deck? I think it's a blast. I think it's a lot of fun, but that's me. I've always been a fan of Zoo-type decks, of like, you know, Zoo and Red Deck Wins and stuff like that. I personally like this deck a lot. Do I think it's great in the format right now? I don't know. One thing I can tell you is that it's not going to roll over and die as easily as a Boggles deck would to a lot of the hate. It doesn't lose to Standard Bearer outright. It doesn't lose to Serene Heart outright. I mean, what did I do? I played a Wall in the Cuddle as a 3-3, and then I played a Solhana Ledgewalker, put it out of Electricity range, and just rode them both home. I basically played a Wall in the Cuddle, and a very overcosted Isamaru Hound of Konda that has hexproof and can't be blocked by anything but flyers. But that's not really the point here. The point of it is, do I think that you should play this deck? I think you should try it out. I think that there is something undiscovered here. I think that the person who made Top 16, I'm not going to say their name because I'd be butchering it. You can find it on Reddit. The results are on the Pauper Reddit under Paupergeddon 5. If you want to see what the original deck list of this looks like. You know, so I think that there's something here. I think that there's definitely an idea that has been unexplored, and I think I would highly recommend trying it out. Now, can I guarantee that you're going to 5-0 a bunch of leagues? No. Can I guarantee you're going to 4-1 a bunch? No. Can I guarantee you're going to 3-2 a bunch? No, I really can't. I'll be very honest with you. I can't guarantee that with any deck in the format, really. Except maybe, you know, the already established ones like Delver, Stompy, and all those things. But I think this is definitely a deck that is obviously under the radar. It will catch people off guard. It's actually very tricky to play against this deck when you first meet it, because you don't know if it's a Zoo deck. You don't know if it's a Boggles deck. You don't know how many colors they're playing. You just don't know. like a really cool Boggles list that I like running right now is Michelle Wong's list. Michelle Wong runs a Boggles deck that has Metamorphose in it and access to cards like Electrickery and stuff like that in the sideboard. And I think that that's deck list that people should look into if they still want to win with Boggles. I think that's something that's also does not have the recognition it deserves. But either way, my verdict is I would try this deck. I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun, and I would highly love it if you would let me know how you would build this deck. Dulxikoff, I'm looking at you because you're the innovator. I know that you're probably going to look at this deck, and I would hopefully think you're going to try it in some capacity. Or maybe this is already a known deck. I've never seen this deck before, so if this is already a known deck, I mean, you have all the right to yell at me. If the person who created this deck ever gets whip of this, if you think I made a mockery of your deck, if you think that I, ruined the integrity of your deck, you have all the right to yell at me. I apologize for that, but dude, I gotta tell you, I love this build. I think it's a lot of fun. So with that said, thank you all for watching. I hope you guys do check out PureMTGO.com. I hope you guys check out twitch.tv/Community Pauper Challenge. It would be a great thing to see you guys there every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, well, that's all I got to say for now. Thank you guys for watching so much, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.